Hi everyone, this is Kim with Kim's Vinyl Expressions. Today we're going to stitch out an in the hoop paw stocking from Memories in Thread. This is what it looks like. Really cute, very easy design. It measures approximately 6 inches by 9.5 is what I got. I did this one in my 6x10 hoop, and I think she does also have a 5x7 if I remember correctly. So what you'll need is stabilizer, preferably tearaway. I already have that hooped up in my 6x10 hoop. You're going to need a 7x11 fabric for the front. I pre-cut everything. I'm also going to use felt to do the cuff up here. And I also have a 7x11 for my liner, and also 7x22 folded in half for the back and the other part of the liner, if my memory serves me correct. And also some ribbon, or I use elastic on here. Because I didn't have a color ribbon to match this, so the elastic works just as well. But this is what we're gonna make, and I'll have the link to the design in the description of the video, so you can just go purchase it if you choose to. Okay, and just a little information, we're gonna bypass the actual stitching of the item, of the design. I'm just gonna go step by step and show you what to do and how to do it, but the actual stitching I'm just going to bypass because it'll make the video too long, and a lot of people don't like sitting watching long videos. So they will be condensed, just not to have the stitching. All right, so the first, we'll go on and head over to the machine. The first stitch that's going to be done is going to be a placement stitch, so you can tack down your fabric. All right, so let's get started. I just wanted to show you here on the machine, this is what I've done. I've added my mom's dog's name here. I believe that is actually step 6, and in the instructions it'll tell you when to add lettering or a saying, whatever you want to say, when to. And it's only a little over 6,000 stitches, which is not bad at all. And it's 13 stops with the name. Okay, so we'll just go ahead and let's get started. Okay, so here's step 1. It's the placement stitch for your front fabric. So I'm gonna go ahead and lie this down over the placement stitch. It's hard to do with one hand. But we'll go ahead and get this tacked down, and I'll be back in just a moment. So I went ahead and tacked down the fabric. You can see it's tacked down. We're not going to cut around this now. We're going to do all that later. And that was step 3, sorry. Step 2, I apologize. Step 3 is, I already did it. We're going to stitch a line here, a placement stitch for the cuff. And what you're going to do with whatever fabric you're using, I'm going to use felt. You're going to want to, if you're using a fabric with a design, you're going to want to put it face down here. And you want to put it over the placement stitch, not too far up because you're going to cut it anyway. And you want to make sure that when you do that, the fabric is down towards the bottom of the stocking, because after we stitch it, we're going to fold it up in place and then do another tack down stitch to hold it in place. And I'll show you what that looks like in a moment. So I went ahead and tacked down the cuff fabric. Now I'm just going to cut on top of the where the stitching is, and then we're going to fold it up. You just got to be careful, because for some reason, I I knit fabric all the time and put holes in it for some reason. So I'm going to use my other scissors today to do that. With these scissors, I rarely ever put holes or cut into my fabric. And they're just knife scissors. I love them. And you want to cut close to the stitch line. You can leave. So I went ahead and tacked and folded this up and did the tack down stitch for it. I'm not going to cut it now either. My next step is going to be to stitch the name up here on the cuff. And we'll go ahead and do that and we'll be right back. So I got the name stitched out up there. Next step is step 7. What it's going to do is do placement stitch over here for the paw, and then the tack down stitch for the paw. So now that I've done the tack down stitching for the paw, we're going to go ahead and cut all this material off as close to the stitching as you can. And for those of you who are new to embroidery or never done applique, this is what we do. So you would just, to get this material off, just cut around as close to the stitching as you can. So I went ahead and cut all the fabric out of this. So we have the paw. At this time, I also cut the extra fabric out around here because it was easier for me to do it now. And next step we're going to do a little placement stitch here for your ribbon or your elastic or whatever you're going to use. We're going to do a placement stitch and then we're going to tack it down. So we ran the placement stitch and then I taped this down and put it on a little angle with some painter's tape. We're going to put it into the machine and tack this down. Okay, so I went ahead and tacked this down. We're not going to cut this now. We'll cut it later, and then it'll be like that. But what we're going to do now is do a placement stitch across the top here for the liner, and then we'll go ahead and tack the liner down. This is just to edit because I made a mistake in the previous clip. There is no placement stitch. What you want to do is put your fabric down, your liner down, and then tack it down. There's no placement stitch. So you're just going to put your fabric over the whole stocking, and then just tack it into place. I apologize for that. Okay, so we have our liner tacked down here into place. And what we're going to do at this time is we're going to pull this up like that and move it out of the way. And then we're going to take remember the fabric, whatever other liner you chose, that's folded in half. We're going to take this and put this as close to this line as you can possibly, close to this line as you can possibly get here. And then we're going to tack this into place. And I'll show you that in just a moment. So I went ahead and tacked down the folded fabric, and I put the fold on top, not on the bottom. So now for the last and final step, we are going to take this and pull it back down here. Excuse me, pull this back down here and then do a final tack down around the whole design. And you want to make sure that your fabrics are covering the full design. Okay, so I did the final step. I went ahead and tacked down the final stitch. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take it out of the hoop, And we're going to, oh, hold on 1 minute. Shoot. Sorry, I left something. Anyway, we'll go ahead and take this out of the hoop. And then we're just going to cut around this. But we're going to leave some extra over here. Because we're going to tuck it in. And then do a stitch to close that after we turn it right side out. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take all this off. I like the stabilizer. It is lightweight. And it's so easy to tear. I use it on most things unless I'm doing something really heavyweight. Then I won't use this. But this is all going to be on the inside anyway. But I remove as much as I can of it. And I think what makes it so easy to tear is that the stabilizer has holes all through it. And it just tears away so easily. See how easy that just comes off. Some tearaways that I've used, it's just a mess trying to get it off. But this stabilizer I really like. And I'll put in the description the name of the stabilizer that I use. I know I did get it from Joann's. I order it through their website when they have it on sale. It's normally about, I believe, $40-something a bolt. But I usually get it on sale when they have it for like $14 a bolt. I usually buy 4 or 5 at a time when it's on sale. Alright, I think that'll be okay for now. I mean, it's on the inside anyway, and it's so light, you won't even be able to tell. Okay. So, where did I put my other scissors? Oh, okay. So, me being OCD, even though I know this is going to be on the inside, I still trim anyway. I don't know if it's from habit or I just liking it as clean as I can get it. Even though it's not going to make a difference, you don't have to do this. This is just my preference. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and turn it this way so we can see it better. Okay, so we're going to just go ahead and cut all around here. You want to leave a little bit outside each stitch. You're not going to do it like an applique. You're not going to cut it as close to the stitching as you can. You want to leave at least some around the outside. And then, like I said, when you get here, I usually leave a pretty decent amount so we can tuck it in and stitch it after we turn it right side out. I think my scissors need to be sharpened. They feel a little weird today. Let me try my other ones. God, these are so much better. I love these scissors. And then I like to get as close to the tip of the where the stitch curves there, so when I do turn it right side out, it'll look right without cutting it anyway. Okay, and just keep going along. I'm a lefty, so I cut really weird in all different directions, which does not make a big deal. Okay, so what I do is I'll go like right here and just cut up to almost a stitching, and then I'll come back this way. Oop, went a little too close. It's still okay. And this doesn't need to be perfect because it's going to be on the inside anyway. Okay, see how we left some of that out there? Okay, and then we'll just do this. And then what you want to do, everybody does their own type of stitching, and I'm not good at hand stitching at all. But you can Google. Okay, so we'll do this first, and then I'll tell you the rest of that. So you have opening there, there, and there. So you want to make sure you take the part that is just the first layer, which is just the fabric and the liner, and then you're going to slowly, however you do it, to turn it inside out. Me, I take forever because I'm so afraid that I'm going to tear something, which I always wind up doing. And it's another reason why on stuff that I have to turn, I use a lightweight stabilizer, because sometimes with the heavy weight, I don't get it all off, and it makes things harder to turn right side out, like I'm having an issue now. Sometimes I do have to tear it a little more, tear the stitching a little more for me, to turn things right side out, just because I can't do it and it doesn't hurt what you made, depending on what you're making. And I try to get as far back as I can first to try to pull that through, and sometimes that don't work. So it's not the design, it's every project that I have to turn right side out. This is my issue. Not everybody has the same issue as me. I just got to try and once I get a little piece through, it's usually a lot easier, there we go, to start pulling it. But you just do it whatever way works for you. If you have smaller fingers, it'll be even easier, which I don't have really small fingers. Sometimes I can sit here for 30 minutes trying to do this. I'm trying not to tear this one. Okay, I think it's coming slowly but surely. There we go. Just take some finessing. This one I put one finger in there to try to get it to go, and I think I'm gonna have to break some of these stitches. And it's not my material. I used fleece on the folded part of the liner and the backing, and I'm sure my fabric's shredded, but that's okay because that's going to be sewn in anyway. I'm getting it. And if anybody has any better suggestions on how to turn stuff right side out or an easier way, please share it with me. I would greatly appreciate it. I have a chopsticks that I use from my local Chinese restaurant, but I use that, you know, just to get the corners because I've had some previous issues with doing that. See, now my paws are in there. But you just have to, there we go. You just have to mess with it and get the, there we go. Okay. It was getting there. Okay, so just mess with it and straighten it out, you know, however you want to do it. And the rest of the material that we left here, all you're going to do is when you pulled it right side out, it was already on the inside. I was just showing you. So what you're going to do at this time is, if you know about sewing, which I just recently learned how to do this stitch. It's called a ladder stitch. And you can go, I'll put the link to the video that I used to show me how to do it. It was pretty simple. But that's what you'll do here. And it'll close that up. And then it'll look like that. The ladder stitch, you can barely see. I mean, like I said, I'm not good with hand stitching. So, the ladder stitch, you can't see, you can't even see the thread. I think I just did this a little too tight, which made it come up like that. But that's what you'll do on this. And, excuse me. That's my office phone. Yeah, so what you'll do, and here's your stocking. good, decent size. I could fit my whole, you can even use it as a mitt if you wanted to. But anyway, so what you'll do here is just do a ladder stitch. Okay, and then your stocking is done. I'm going to go ahead and do the stitching. I'm sorry. I'm going to go ahead and do two of the ornaments that are included with this. I think one of them is a bone, and one of them is, I forgot. One moment. And fish. Yeah, so you can put the bones on here, or you can do fish. Fish, I'm assuming, is for cats. And since Zeus is a little dachshund, I'm going to go ahead and put the bones on here, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. Okay, so I wanted to show you the bones. It's only 3 steps. Very, very simple. The first step is going to be the placement stitch. The second step is going to be the tack down stitch, and I have already done that part. Very simple. Now, the next step, what we're going to do is we are going to turn this just the way I have it here, upside down, and we're going to take a piece of ribbon or whatever you're going to use to attach these to your stocking. I'm choosing to use this. So what you're going to do is you're going to, tape. My light is too bright. Okay. You're going to tape, you know, just a long piece, however long you choose, and you're going to tape it into place. And you want to make sure that the longer parts are out of the way. And then you can use masking tape or whatever, you know, whatever you want to use to put that in place. And then you're going to take your felt, your other piece of felt, and you're going to tape it to the back of your hoop, and then do the final stitch. And we'll be right back with that. So I have my bones done. This is the back. I'm going to cut off the tails here. I'm going to cut around. But you want to make sure that when you're cutting back here, you do not cut this off on both sides. So you want to definitely cut around them. And I'm going to attach it a different way to my stocking than what the instruction says. It's only because of how I want to do it. And I'll show you a picture of that when it's done. It's just my preference. It's just something I want to try. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a piece of this and I'm going to glue it along here. And then I'll attach my bones after that when I'm done. But that's pretty much it. And I'll show you a picture of the final, what it looks like. So that was it today from my In the Hoop stocking. I'll put the link to the design in the description of the video. And if you have any questions, please comment below. Subscribe to my channel. I got a lot more tutorials coming from different designers. And see you soon. Have a good day.